He opened the door for 1 second, just one, and everything he believed about strength, dignity, and love shattered. What broke him wasn't what he saw, but what she said after. The moment Ethan Carter realized his mistake, it was already too late. The executive office door swung inward with a soft click, the kind that usually meant nothing. He had knocked. He always knocked. Years of working under people who held power over his paycheck had trained him well. But that evening, his boss, Claire Whitmore, had called him in urgently, her voice tight, distracted. "Come up now, please," she'd said. No pause, no warning. So Ethan opened the door. Time didn't freeze like it does in movies. It rushed forward, cruel and fast. Claire stood near the window, back half turned, blouse in her hands, clearly in the middle of changing after spilling coffee down herself. The sight lasted less than a heartbeat. Ethan's eyes dropped instantly, his face burning, his mouth already forming apologies he couldn't get out fast enough. I'm so sorry, I didn't... He backed out, mortified, already reaching for the handle to pull the door closed. "Ethan." Her voice stopped him. Not sharp, not angry, just tired. He stood there facing the carpet, heart hammering like he'd done something unforgivable, like he'd crossed a line that could cost him the only job keeping his life together. Images of his 8-year-old daughter Lily waiting at home flashed through his mind, her school shoes by the door, her dinner probably cold already. He couldn't afford mistakes, not like this. "I swear," he said quickly, still not looking up, "I didn't see anything. I mean, I saw that I shouldn't have, but I didn't look. I would never..." "I know," Claire said softly. That should have been the end of it. A brief, awkward apology, an uncomfortable silence, maybe a formal HR conversation later. But instead, she sighed. A deep, cracking sound that didn't belong to a powerful CEO worth millions. "You can turn around now," she said. "I'm dressed." Ethan turned slowly, every muscle tense, prepared for humiliation or dismissal. What he wasn't prepared for was her face. Claire Whitmore, the woman who commanded boardrooms, who never missed a detail, who intimidated people twice her age, looked broken. Not embarrassed, not angry, just profoundly sad. She gestured to the chair across from her desk. "Sit," she said. "Please." And something in the way she said please told Ethan this moment was about to change everything. Ethan sat on the edge of the chair, hands clasped tightly, waiting for the consequences. Instead, Claire surprised him. "I owe you an apology," she said. He looked up, confused. "Ma'am?" "For calling you up without warning. For assuming you'd just handle it." She shook her head slightly, almost at herself. "I spend my life controlling every room I walk into, and yet I can't manage something as simple as locking a door." Ethan swallowed. "It was an accident. I'll forget it ever happened." She studied him then, not like a boss evaluating an employee, but like someone finally seeing another human being. "You won't," she said gently. "Not because of what you saw, but because of what you didn't." He frowned. "I don't understand." "Most people would have stared," she continued, "or laughed it off later, or used it to feel powerful in some small, ugly way." Her voice wavered. "You looked away immediately, like my dignity mattered more than your curiosity." Her words landed heavier than any accusation could have. Ethan felt something twist in his chest. He hadn't done anything heroic. He just acted the way he hoped someone would if it were Lily someday. If she were vulnerable. If she needed respect instead of judgment. "I was raised by my mother," he said quietly, surprising himself. "She worked 2 jobs. She taught me some things don't belong to you just because you saw them." Claire's eyes glistened. "And now you're a single father," she said, not as a question. He nodded. "Since Lily was 4. Something in Claire broke then. Not loudly, not dramatically. just a slow collapse behind her eyes. "You know," she said, voice barely above a whisper, "when you walked in, I felt exposed. Not physically, as a person." She pressed a hand to her chest. "I've spent years building armor so no one sees me as weak. And in 1 second, all of it failed." Ethan felt his throat tighten. "I'm sorry you felt that way." She shook her head. "No, don't be." She met his gaze fully now. "Your reaction reminded me of something I forgot. That safety isn't about power. It's about trust." Silence filled the room, thick and fragile. And as Ethan sat there, this exhausted single dad who only wanted to get home and read his daughter a bedtime story, he realized something terrifying. This moment wasn't going to cost him his job. It was going to ask something far more dangerous. It was going to change the way they both saw themselves, forever. And neither of them was ready for what came next.